Morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Not too bad. Just here waiting for the others. I don't think they're going to join today.
Ooh.
Yeah, but we go on. Don't worry.
Okay.
Wait for 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
You have your AWS account and everything opened, yeah?
Yeah.
Happy days. You have started the server and you have logged into the server?
Okay. I haven't. Let me log into this up.
Okay.
I will come off at 7:45. I've got speed awareness course training. So I have to join that.
But
yeah, I told you about it, yeah?
Yeah, you have not been speeding. I've seen you not speeding at all. So how are you getting speed awareness course?
I don't know.
Because me, I speed a lot, as you can see.
I think these people, they are looking for money by all means. Yeah, just starting out ticket.
Oh. Yeah, you can. You don't have to spend too much time. Christian. Hey, how did this video get 24 views? Wow.
I've been watching it over and over again.
Same here. I watched it last night.
Oh, okay. You are the ones making it more popular, yeah? Okay. Where did we get to? When you watched it at the end, what did we say was the next thing that we were going to do?
I think we tried to run the script. I think it's the script that I remember. Yeah, the script.
So this one,
we had a problem running the script.
So this one was the 12th of April. We did this on the 12th of April, isn't it? So let's see. 12th of April. That's last Saturday. That's last Saturday. Did we not do anything on Sunday?
On Sunday, yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah, there's a recording. So I don't have the Sunday one downloaded, I think. Let's see. Yeah. I don't think I have the Sunday one, which was the 13th of April. Attaching IAM role and accessing S3 bucket, blah, blah, blah. So let me download the Sunday one and let's find out what it is. So on the Sunday, what did we do?
Okay, we install AWS CLI on EC2 instance. Yeah, we also try to create a role.
Yeah, let me go back to the video quickly and see. So I've got a video here, and I think the reason why I didn't even attach it is because we were getting everybody at the same level. So if you look at it, we had someone share. Okay, so we did create the allow everybody account policy, read S3 in the, okay, in the, yeah, I think, okay, let's see. Where we got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Leave the call. It was the last possible words that I gave to someone. Leave the call. Hurry up and leave the call. Okay, so what we did was create a policy that was going to allow anybody into our account. Okay. I'm going to do that from here and then we will see. I don't like the videos when nobody's sharing their screen at all. So I'm going to share my screen and we know what's going on. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, I've just downloaded the video and I'm going to share it to YouTube. So that was the one we did last week. And I'm going to add it here for people. This is not for kids. I don't want problems. I always select that. Don't want any child to watch it. If someone said anything, I can't be bothered to go and rewatch it again, and it's going to be public to everybody. And that's it. So it will take some time for this video to get there. And then when it uploads to finish, I will then find time to change the title and put the information that we did there. Okay. Now, can someone share their screen and show me the policy we created? Anybody, whoever has their screen ready to share, we can share.
Okay.
We created a policy called something anybody.
1 minute.
It was a policy or a rule. Yeah, a rule. Who's going to share their screen?
Yeah. 1 minute. Okay. I think these are the ones we created. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I think I think this one allow everybody account ready.
Yeah. So allow anybody's account read only S3. Okay. So that's a rule that we created. Copy this rule name for me. So leave it there. Yeah, copy the name and put it in the chat. So I'm going to do it from my side, quick time. Yeah, quick time.
Let's see.
I'm going to do it from my side, quick time. Okay.
Okay.
So what we said was someone has to come into your account. And when they are coming into your account, they need to assume your role, okay? The role. And the role is this, okay? So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. And so what we did was, and this is the fastest way to do this. I can create it with any service. I can create it selecting anything. What this trusted entity does is it's going to create a policy in the trusted entity for you automatically. Okay. So if you select anything, it will help you to select accounts, whatever. So if you want to use a web identity, if you want to use Google, whatever, it will help you to create this policy easily. Okay. So I will select this and I'll just use my account. The idea is that we will change the policy ourselves, because the policy we want to do, which allows multiple accounts, is not available for you to do here using the front end and selecting. Okay, so we'll just go next. We will even not attach any policy. Next, and then we just create this AWS role. You see, the policy that AWS is creating for you based on what you selected is that, but we don't want this. Okay, we want our own policy. All right, so we will then create the role. When the role is created, what you do is you go in there, go to trusted entity and edit this policy to make it your own. Okay, which I delete this. And can you copy the policy that you had and send it to me, please? Oye. And send it to the chat. Oh yeah, if you have you got it? Anybody have it? So you can share your screen again. Click on share and then share again or something. Okay, so go to your policy. Go to the role. That role there. Go there at the top. Allow anybody click it, and then go to the trusted relationship. Okay. Copy this policy. Select all or whatever. Yeah, and copy and put it in the chat. So we want multiple people to come into our AWS account. So we have our own policy. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our own new policy there. You can write the policy yourself, or if you have it already written, you just do that. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to allow these accounts to come into my AWS account. Okay, what I can honestly say is that I don't want to allow my own account, so I need to remove my account and put someone else's account. So whose account do I want?
Let me put my, I think mine is not there.
Copy yours and give it to me. Okay. So what I'm saying is I'm allowing these AWS accounts to come into my AWS account. Okay. That's all I'm doing. So I'll give them this role and then they will assume it. Okay. Okay. So your account ID is that. So I'll change that and put mine there. Okay. That's yours. Okay. And I'll update policy. So the idea is that you can just change this after the role is created. So you can create a role anyhow. Okay. And this role doesn't have any permissions. Okay. So if that person then comes into my AWS account, what can they do? They don't have anything. They can't do anything so far. Okay. They can come in, but they can't do anything. Yeah. This is the role is what's going to authenticate them. Okay, authenticate them. When they come in, they will say, "Oh, this is me," and all that. And they'll come into my AWS account, but they don't have any permissions. They are not authorized. Okay, so we can give them permissions. And we say S3 read only. When they do come in, we want them to do just read only. Okay, so all three of you or whoever's name is in the list will be able to come into my AWS account, and when they get there, they can do read only access. Okay, I know Oye has my account also allowed. Okay, now this is the role that someone is going to come in and use. Now I want to go to Oye. So Oye has created this, or if Oye wants to come to my account, what do I need? So I need to give Oye this. Okay, so Oye, share your screen again.
Okay.
So Oye has created a role for me to be able to come to his account. I have also created a role for Oye to come into my AWS account. Now I'm going to go to Oye's account. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Oye has done that. So what he will do is he will go to his role. So scroll up. And then Oye would copy the ARN and share with me. So you have already created a role. You say that person can come to your AWS account. And the person needs to give you information about the account, the role name, before you can come in. Okay. That's not magic. All right. So you put it in the chat, your role name. And then I'll take it from here. Okay. So Oye has gone and given me access. He said, okay, I've created this role. You can come in. Okay. You can come in. Now, for me to be able to come to Oye's AWS account, I could come in using a user, using a role, or using anything. But this purpose of this thing is we're going to use roles. Okay. So one of my roles here should be able to go to Oye's account. Okay. Should be able to go to Oye's account. This is the one that I've created for Oye to come into my account. Now, which one am I going to use to go to Oye's account? Okay, that's what we're going to do. Which one am I going to use to go to Oye's account? And as you can see, the Windows server that we created will have, so we have a Windows server, okay, EC2. If you go there, we have, I think we have a Windows server running there. That Windows server will be the tool or the resource going to Oye. Okay, that will be the tool or the resource going to Oye. So the role that is attached to that EC2 will be the one that we will use to go to Oye. If you're getting me, we've done all of this before. Okay, so if I come here, you see that I have my Windows server sitting here, which is stopped, and in there it has a role. If you go to security, you see that it has a role attached to it. You see, it doesn't actually have any role. Well, it does. You see, destination role, banner to anybody's account. Okay, so we created a role to say that anybody's account. Okay, now if we go to roles again, we'll find this role, banner, destination, banner to anybody. So this role, I want to be able to go to anybody's account. Okay, so what we do is we want the machine to be able to assume the role that Oye gave us. Okay, so what we will do is we go to AWS, and then I'm going to start this machine. Okay, and I'll log it into it and all that. I'm hoping that I still remember the password. Actually, I'm not going to use Windows, or should I use? Because everybody is using Windows. Anyway, let me use Windows. Do I have the password? I think. So I'll connect to my Windows server using RDP. Okay. the IP address will change. So I need to find another IP address. So as soon as the machine comes online, as you already know, the IP address will change. It will be a new IP address. So when I'm logging into my remote desktop, I need to make sure that I'm using that IP address. I think it's going to be this one. So I'll edit it and I'll put the new IP address there. The password is auto-saved, so it should be okay. So save and connect. And it's doing a handshake and I'm in the machine. So this is the machine that I've just started in AWS. Okay, this is it. All right. And we want this machine to go to Oye's account. Now, as you can see, the role attached to this account doesn't have, it's not saying anything about Oye, and it doesn't have any permissions. Okay. Okay, it doesn't have any permissions, but I'm 100% sure we did we've done everything so that this machine, so we go to CMD like we already do, and we're just going to do one command. Okay, now AWS S3 LS, yeah, it doesn't have any permission, so it should give us an error. Says, okay, this role is not authorized. It has a role, but it's not authorized to even read in anything in this AWS account. Okay, it doesn't. So again, if we want to assume as Oye's role, if we want to assume Oye's role, okay, it will say you are not allowed to assume this role. Okay, so so there's a command to assume a role. And you would just put let me find the exact command. We share this with you as well. If you want to play along with it, it will be nice. So this is the command. Because normally what I do is I open a text editor, put my command there, and then I edit it nicely. So you want to assume a role, AWS STS assume role, and then you put the role ARN, which is what Oye has shared. Role ARN is yeah, and then it also asks you for the session role name. So I can say anything. At this point, you put anything, and that's what AWS will put there. So I'll just put my name. Okay, S3 Access Bernard. Okay, so this is how you assume a role. Okay, so when you do this, which I'll put in the chat as well for people, or I'll put in the WhatsApp. So when you run this command, you are saying that you want to assume, you want to put Oye's hat on. Oye's hat on. Yeah. From my AWS account, a machine or a resource running in my AWS account is trying to put Oye's hat on. Now let's see what will happen. It tried and it says you are not allowed to put this hat on. Okay. So when calling assume role operations, yeah, destination Bernard, which is my the role attached to the AWS EC2, yeah, is not authorized, okay, to perform assume role. on this. Yeah, it's not authorized to perform assume role on this. Okay, so what we need to do is to give it authorization. Okay, so this is all about the permission. Okay, permission here. We need to say it's this machine can go to Oye's account. All right, so we need to give it permission. One permission you can give that will allow everything is obviously administrator, yeah, which I'm going to use to do a quick test, and then I'll remove it, and then we create our own role, yeah. Console master. Okay, so I give it an admin. So I say this role, which is attached to the EC2, I've given it permission to be able to do anything, okay, anything, including assuming Oye's role as part of it, anything. So let's run the command again and see. So now that we're given it permission to do anything, including assuming Oye's role. So if it's allowed to assume the role, then it will be able to go to Oye, and Oye will then have to say, I know you are part of my list, so come in. Okay, so voila. This command then went to Oye because we just attached the policy to allow it to assume Oye's role. What happens was it went to Oye and it's got credentials from Oye. Oye said, okay, whenever you want to do anything in my AWS account, please take this information, and whenever you come, use this. Okay, this is a username, which is access key, and this is a secret key that I want you to use whenever you want to come into my AWS account. This credentials that I've given you, so Oye's account said, take this information. I know you are permitted to come into my AWS account, but anytime you come, please use this key and secret access key. So it's more or less username and password, and use this token as well. But this token and credentials that I've given you will expire in this time and date. Okay, today is 19th. It will expire this time. Okay, so now we are in Oye's account. Well, we are not in it. We need to do something with all of this information here so that this machine can go and do that. Okay, but this information that has been given to us obviously belongs to this machine and this machine only. Okay, I'm not sure if I use this same information in my local laptop, it will work. We can test it and see. Okay, so this is all you get. When you assume a role, it gives you temporary credentials to be able to do the things that you want to do. Temporary credential. Now, how do you use temporary credentials? It's a different thing. Okay, so to use temporary credentials, what you can do is okay. Remember when I told you when you want to do a simple command in AWS or perform an action in AWS tool, the one that we have installed, which is AWS, this one. So you can do help dash help. If I know how to spell help, and it will give you, I think it's just help, not that dash help. AWS help. So that's a tool that we have actually installed on this machine, and this tool I've just said help on is giving us information about the tool. You can learn about the tool. Okay. Now this is a software, an application, anyhow you want to call it. Yeah. Now, when you run this AWS tool, and whenever you run the command, you have to say the tool name first, the application name, and then whatever you want to do will come after. Whenever I run this, of course, AWS needs permissions and authentication. You need to show that you are who you are, and then when you do that, you need permission. So last time what I said was, when this is run, the tool will look for credentials in this environment, in this machine environment. It will look for credentials. If it finds the credentials, it will use those credentials, okay? If it didn't find any credentials, it will go and look for the role, if there's any role attached to the machine. If it's a machine running on AWS or a resource running there, it will go and say, okay, I didn't find any credentials anywhere, so I'm going to go and find it if there's a role and use that role. And then it goes to the role and it obtains that temporary credentials. Okay, it obtains that temporary credentials. So currently, what we're going to do is the credentials that we've just got from here, we're going to set it in this AWS account. Okay, we're going to set it here. Okay, and make sure that this is it will be used first. Okay, it will be used first. Okay, so as soon as you set that, it will use that first. Okay, so one minute, let me just get one. I think we've done this before. Okay, so there's some, I think, 1 minute, I think we've done this before. Let me find the commands. Hold on. Well, you're about to go, so I know we'll be going soon. We'll finish this and then go.
Okay.
All right, let me just type the question again. Okay, so we will so one option is to use the environment variables. I hope everybody knows what environment variables are. We'll say that we know what environment variables are. Or we can do we can create a file in this location. So if you cd.aws, yeah. Oh no, there's no cd. What's the command for change folder in This is the problem. Kobe. Okay, don't worry.
It's silly as well. It's
Well,
silly as well, I think.
So what happened? We don't have any AWS. It's in, okay, I think user profile. All right, let's use what's
You
it
have
called?
to be in the directory where you want to change to, like.
Yeah,
the
but
phone.
it says user profile. Okay, it should be there. Okay. It's not there. So the folder.aws is not there. Okay, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to use the environment variables. So as you can see, last time what we did was we just set this information. Okay, so you take the secret access key. Okay, which is solving problems, and you set it in the environment variable. So the key that was given to us, the secret access key, there's an environment variable called AWS key access key ID. So we just set it. Okay, and then we set the other one as well, which is the secret. Having problems with copy and paste. Okay, and then we set the token. Which is not that. I'll have to go and find the token. Exact token is a long token. It's equal to, and it's up here somewhere there. Okay, so the token starts from here and it ends here without the equal to. Okay, we'll go down here and we paste it there. Okay, so the information we got from assuming the role are access keys, secret access keys, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we set them. When this is set, as I said, AWS will look through the for these information.
Sorry, guys, I have to go here.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's okay. Well, the video will be there anyway. AWS will look for this first. If it didn't find this, that's when it's going to go and look for the role. Okay. So if we run AWS S3 LS, or if we check who are we, which permissions do we currently have, there's a command called get identity, caller identity. Okay, you want to find out, okay, who am I now? Which hat have I got on now? If you run this command, it will tell you that, oh, you currently have Oye's hat on. So this is Oye's account, and allow assume all S3 is what you have on. Yeah, so if I do AWS S3 LS, Oye doesn't have any AWS S3 buckets, so I didn't get any. Okay, until this expires, or until I remove this here, I'm still going to be on OA. So how to remove this is I can just go back to this and then make this nothing. Okay. I'll set it to nothing. Set this to nothing. And I set this to nothing. This is a lot. There's another command for onset. Okay, onset. You can just onset them again as well. But let's do the nothing first and see how it goes. So if you write a script, then this will all be done automatically. Okay. As soon as the role gives you the credentials, you set it automatically. Okay. All right. So if I run the STS again, I want to find out who I am. Which hat do I have on? You see, now I have the hat in my own AWS account on because this is no longer set. So before I had Oye's account role on. Now that I've removed these credentials, I'm using my own hat. Yeah. So that's the idea. To be able to go to Oye's account. Okay, if Oye gives me more permissions, I can even create an S3 bucket for him in his AWS account, or do things, download an S3 bucket, or do all sorts, because Oye has allowed me to come in. Okay, so what we will do tomorrow is, instead of having to attach a permission, administrative access, which then allows this role to be able to do anything, including assuming Oye, what we will do is we will create our own policy that only allows us to be able to assume Oye's account role or anybody's, okay, instead of having to do it for every other anything. Okay, so that's the policy. Remember, the trusted entity still says we are going to use EC2, but then the permission. Okay. All right. Does anybody want to do it from their side, or they will go? I should download the video and they will practice it.
Yeah, I think a video will work.
Okay, I have a question. How do you get those keys?
Those keys.
Yes.
Okay. So those keys were given when I ran the assume role command. Remember, so there's a command that I ran, which is I took Oye's this one, AWS STS assume role. So I want to put Oye's hat on, and it says, which hat do you want to put on? I said, I want to put Oye's hat on. So Oye's command, Oye's IAM role. Okay, I put it there, and I say, when I go to Oye, I want to be seen as this person or this session person. Okay, and then when I run it, anytime I run this command, because obviously I've removed the permission, it doesn't work now. But if I say, because now my EC2 is not allowed to put Oye's hat on, it doesn't have the permission. So what I'll do is I'll give it permission. I don't want to create a specific permission for it. So I'll give it permission like admin, who is able to do everything, including assuming Oye's role. Yeah. And then I run the command again. If this machine is allowed to put Oye's role on, it will go to Oye, and Oye will give it back these credentials. And those are the credentials that I have to set. I have to set in these environment variables. Yeah?
Okay.
Yes. Those are the credentials I have to set in these environment variables. So when I get these environment credentials, so this is the access key ID, secret access key, and the session token. I will then set these in those environment variables, which I'm going to put in the chat. Okay. So let me actually do that now before we all forget. Put all the commands in the WhatsApp group. so that you can do some documentation as well. We will document all of this, okay? So there are two things. First is you let the person has to create the role in their own AWS account. The person has to put your AWS account as in the trusted entity policy that you are allowed to assume their role. When they finish, they then give you a permission. When you come, what do you have to do? Can you do in their account? And then they have to give you the role ARN. When you, the person who wants to come into the account, you go to your role ARN, whichever resource, in this case, we are using EC2, you need to use the role to assume, okay? And here we are using the Windows CMD, and we run the AWS STS assume role command, passing in the role that he gave us. And if our machine or the role we are using is allowed to assume that role, because we need to give that machine permission to assume that role. If it's allowed, it will be able to assume it. If not, it will tell you that you are not allowed to assume this role as you come to perform. You can see here in the command output, it says this person is not allowed to assume this resource, which is the role. But when we went and gave it permissions to assume the role, it then was able to assume the role. What it means is, to assume the role, the OS AWS account will give you back some username and passwords and credentials. It's called credentials that you use to come in. So when you get these credentials, what you do is you set it. This time around, we are setting it in the AWS, in the Windows environment variables. Okay, in Linux will be different, but in the Windows environment variables, we use a command that. What's going on here? Okay, we use a command which is set which environment variable and then what it's equal to. Okay, which I'm going to put all of that in there. Okay, so the first one that you do, I'm going to put it in the DevOps WhatsApp group for your benefit. Okay, so the first one is you need to assume the role. This is the first command. So you're assuming the role. Okay, that's the first command. Remember, you have to change the role ARN. Okay, and when you assume the role will give you this back, something like this back. Okay, and when it gives you this back, what you have to do in Windows is you need to set this. Okay, you need to set it in your environment variable, and after that, as soon as this is set, as I said, you will then whichever command you run will be seen as if you are going to OAS account. And one of the commands that you run is to check which role you have on, which is the STS get caller identity. Okay, get caller identity, and then that's it. After that, if you want to do AWS S3 LS, you can check that one, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, when you finish, and you don't want to be running commands, you don't want your commands to be going to what's his name, Oye again. What you do is you remove the settings, you remove the values, and then what will happen is that way you are no longer going to OA. You'll be using your own role. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Practice makes perfect. Tomorrow, what we will be doing is, instead of using the admin access policy, we will be creating our own policy that will allow only this EC2 to only assume the role that we want, not anything. Okay. So because this EC2 might be compromised, I'm going to remove this access because this access is very, 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 very important. And I'm going to stop the EC2 as well. Okay. For today. Cleaning up myself. Okay. So I'm going to download this video now. As soon as we finish, I'm going to download it and I'm going to upload it again. So cross-account access has taken us along about 2-3 weeks, isn't it? And all because I think we don't have a document. So by tomorrow, we should have this document actually set. What the person who you want to come to the account needs to do, what you need to do, these two. We need documentation, step-by-step instructions. Okay. And then we'll be able to move forward to other areas of security. Any more questions?
I'm good.
Good.
No from me.
All right, cool. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining today. Thank you. Let me do this video now. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.